Hello and welcome to another MarineAndReef.com video. In today's video, we're going to show you guys how to use the Marine and Reef REEFractometer. Now, a refractometer is a measurement device that we use to measure the salinity or salt level inside of our saltwater aquarium or inside of the fresh salt water that we're going to use to do a water change. So without further ado, let's show you guys what's included in the box when you get your refractometer. Now, inside the refractometer box itself, you're going to get a couple things. You're going to get the actual refractometer. This is the measurement device itself. You are going to get a pipette, and this is used to take samples, whether your calibration solution or of the water that you're measuring. And finally, you're going to get a very small flathead screwdriver, and this is used for adjusting and calibrating that refractometer. For the next step, we're going to show you guys how you calibrate your refractometer, that is, make sure it is measuring correctly. There's two options you can use when calibrating your refractometer. You can calibrate it to some purified water, preferably RO or RODI water that's completely pure with no salt in it. But better yet, you can go ahead and calibrate it with a dedicated calibration solution. And our favorite calibration solution is this Two Little Fishies Accuracy. What I really like about this solution is you can use this to calibrate any salinity measurement device, not just refractometers, whereas a lot of others only work for one type of saltwater measuring device. So let's go ahead and show you guys how you calibrate it, and we'll do it the better way with this accuracy solution and show you guys what that looks like. So to calibrate your refractometer, the first thing to note is that the refractometer is going to have a lens on this end with this transparent lens cover. So you can pull it back like we just did. And in order to calibrate the unit, so now we're going to use our pipette with our Two Little Fishies Accuracy, which is our calibration solution. And we're simply going to put the pipette in, squeeze the bulb, open it up, and we've got some of the solution in here. And we're going to go over to our refractometer, put a couple of drops on that lens, and then just drop that cover. And you can see it's kind of filling out that full lens there. Next step is I'm going to remove this rubber plastic cover. Right. And you may not be able to see it because it's very small, but there's a small screw in there that our little flathead screwdriver can adjust. And we're going to use that pretty soon. So now I'm going to grab this refractometer. I'm going to hold it up to my eye and then point it at a light source. So in this case, that's up at the ceiling. And what you're going to see is you're going to see a blue half and a white half alongside a scale. So the blue half is up at the top, the white half is at the bottom, and where they intersect is the measurement that this unit is reading. Now, when you're calibrating it, what we want to do is you want to put that measurement at where your calibration solution says it should read. So in this case, the Two Little Fishies solution should read at 1.025 or 35 ppt. And on the refractometer, you're going to see two scales. The left one is specific gravity, where we're going to get the 1.025, and the right one is a salinity scale, which should be at 35 ppt. In order to adjust the reading, you'll put your flathead screwdriver into the screw, look through it, and then by turning it left and right, you'll see the intersection of that blue and white half move. And you just want to keep adjusting it until it's reading correctly. So for the accuracy solution, we got it at the 1.025 to 35 ppt on the scale. If you were using purified RO water, it should be 0 on the PPT scale and 1 on the specific gravity scale. And that's because there's no salt, which means it has 0 parts per trillion salt, or it weighs an equal amount, or 1, compared to fresh water, which is what the scales are measuring. Once you got it adjusted, we can cap this off with our rubber cap. Another note is, for me, I didn't need to use it now. The back of this unit is adjustable with a focus similar to like a pair of binoculars. That'll kind of help you out if the image looks a little blurry. You can just rotate it to get it in focus. But for me, it was pretty good right out of the box. And now that it's all adjusted, we're just going to wipe off this lens with a nice clean towel. And we should be good to take a measurement. So let's show you guys how to do that. All right, so to go ahead and measure some salt water, we're going to use our refractometer that's freshly calibrated. We're going to use our pipette to get a little bit of our sample. You're going to go over to your tank water, or it could be the salt water that you're mixing up for a water change. Place your pipette in, release it to suck some up. Put a couple of drops on the lens, and then close the lens cover. And then we're simply going to hold it up to the light just like we did when calibrating. And we're going to read the intersection. So in this case, I'm seeing 1.026, which is right about where I want it, so things are looking good. Once you're done taking your measurement, just like when you calibrated, you're going to open up the cover and give it a nice wipe. And then you can go ahead, put the refractometer back in the case and store it for the next time you use it. The last thing we want you guys to know is going to be what we're going to call maintenance or long-term tips for this tool. And the first one of these is that you should calibrate this refractometer fairly often. And the biggest thing that's going to mess up the calibration are either dropping it or banging it, or temperature. Whenever there's a strong temperature change, the refractometer is going to measure differently. And for this reason, we also recommend storing it at room temperature. If you keep this in a hot garage and then take it inside to take a measurement, the fact that the unit is hot and you're putting cool water on it can kind of mess up the readings. So it's best if this is kept indoors, right by your aquarium. And if you ever go through a seasonal temperature variation, that's a good idea to go ahead and recalibrate that refractometer. But really, it's pretty easy to calibrate, so I personally do mine pretty much every time I take a measurement. And then the other biggest maintenance thing is just keeping it very clean. The biggest problem we see with these is if you don't clean them, you get crusty salt buildup, and over time that can rust out parts. Or you have some salt buildup left, then you put a sample on it and it dissolves that salt and it's reading saltier than the water actually is because you didn't clean it super well. So just make sure it's really clean, make sure you calibrate it regularly and often, make sure you store it indoors at about the same temperature as your tank, and you're good to go for some great salinity measurements. If you like this video, then like and subscribe for more MarineAndReef.com videos just like this.